Mary Catherine, and thanks for having us. The Department of Labor is dedicated to helping young workers find those positive and early employment experiences, but the work must be safe. The child labor provisions of the Fair Labor Standards Act, or FLSA, were enacted to ensure that when young people work, the work does not jeopardize their health or well-being. Today's presentation will provide a high-level overview of these child labor topics: child labor protections by age, hours 14 and 15-year-olds can work, jobs 14 and 15-year-olds can work, dangerous jobs prohibited for all children under the age of 18, child labor protections on farms, and additional resources that the division provides. Generally, the minimum age for employment is 14, although there are some exceptions and exemptions for children under the age of 14 that allow them to babysit on a casual basis and work as actors or performers, for example. However, the Fair Labor Standards Act groups into two categories for employment purposes: 14 and 15-year-olds in one group and 16 and 17-year-olds in the second group. Simply stated, employees aged 14 and 15 years may only work outside of school hours and only for certain time periods, which we will discuss further. They may only work in non-manufacturing, non-mining, and non-dangerous jobs. However, employees that are aged 16 and 17 years may perform any job that is not considered dangerous and with no limit to the number of hours that they work. The child labor regulations do not apply to any employees that are 18 years or older. Lastly, there is a parental exemption for a business who is the sole, or a parental exemption for a person who is the sole owner of a business. A child who works for a company that is entirely owned by their parent may work longer hours, and they also have fewer job restrictions. The number of hours that 14 and 15-year-olds may work depends on whether school is in session or not. For example, when school is in session, 14 and 15-year-olds may not work more than 18 hours. However, when school is not in session, 14 and 15-year-olds may work up to 40 hours in each week. Additionally, 14 and 15-year-olds may only work between the hours of 7 a.m. and 7 p.m., except from June 1st through Labor Day, when the evening hour is extended to 9 p.m. Hour standards violations are very common when discovering child labor violations for 14 and 15-year-olds. Let me point out that many states have different standards, and employers should always check with both state and federal agencies to ensure compliance. Where state and federal laws are different, the most protective law applies. So let's review what jobs 14 and 15-year-olds can and cannot do. They can serve as cashiers, participate in modeling, artwork, or advertising, serve as dishwashers, participate in office and clerical jobs, bagging and carrying out groceries, food prepping by hand, serving as a server or busser, stocking shelves, and certified 15-year-olds may work as lifeguards at swimming pools and amusement parks. 14 and 15-year-olds generally cannot, again, participate in manufacturing, mining or processing, baking or cooking, serving as a public messenger, participating in construction work, including roofing, using or cleaning power-driven equipment, loading and unloading equipment, working in freezers or walk-in coolers, or participate in door-to-door sales. Remember, anything not permitted is prohibited. Although we have been making the distinction between children who are 14 and 15 and those that are 16 and 17, dangerous jobs applies to all children under the age of 18 for work that is not on farms. And these are considered hazardous occupations. You may be asking yourself, what is a hazardous occupation, also known as an HO? An HO is work that the Secretary of Labor has determined is too dangerous for children under the age of 18 to work. There are 17 HOs for work that is not performed on farms. We won't walk through each of these HOs today, but I want to let you know that our website hosts additional compliance assistance materials, which provides more detailed information for the work children can and cannot do. Now let's discuss our child labor protections specific to agriculture. There are major differences between what children can do on farms versus off farms. Although they both have age limitations, hours regulations, and hazardous orders or dangerous jobs, the rules are applied differently. Once a child reaches the age of 16, the child labor rules no longer apply to farm work, and they can do any job on a farm at any time. Children who are 14 and 15 working on farms are restricted to working outside of school hours, but for an unlimited number of hours. However, they are banned from working in dangerous jobs. 12 and 13-year-olds may also work on farm jobs outside of school hours and are also banned from working in dangerous jobs. However, they must either work on farms where their parents or guardians work or have written consent to work from a parent. Children under 12 years may work outside school hours in non-dangerous jobs with parental consent, but only on small farms where none of the employees are subject to the provisions of the Fair Labor Standards Act. The parental exemption allows kids to work in any job on farms owned or operated by their parents or persons standing in place of the parent. This slide summarizes some of the main activities and contributions that the Wage and Hour Division makes to support the prevention and elimination of human trafficking. We actively engage and collaborate with federal and state law enforcement partners by participating in over 80 human trafficking task forces across this country. We are uniquely positioned by often being the first government agency in a business to detect and refer possible human trafficking indicators identified during the normal course of an investigation. When such indicators are detected, Wage and Hour follows established protocols to make referrals to our law enforcement partners. When requested through proper channels by another federal agency, typically an assistant United States attorney or criminal law enforcement agency, we will provide advice or participate in the computation of restitution for victims or penalties against the traffickers. Educators and others play a crucial role in assisting in identifying children who could be involved in illegal and exploitative child labor. Some of the signs may include regular absences or a pattern of arriving late to school, which may indicate that a child is working long hours. Children involved in illegal labor may fall asleep in class or struggle to stay awake. A sudden drop in a child's grades or lack of focus could indicate that the child is overwhelmed with work responsibilities. Additionally, if you see signs of physical injuries such as burns, bruises, or cuts, this may indicate a child's participation in dangerous working conditions. So who may file a child labor complaint with the Wage and Hour Division? Well, the workers themselves, a parent or guardian of that worker, school officials, other employers, advocacy groups, or other agencies that a child may be affiliated with. If a child, a worker, or their advocate has reviewed our information and believes their workplace rights have been violated, they have the right to file a complaint with us. One of the goals of our outreach programs is to ensure that workers know how to reach us, know how to file a complaint, and understand that we pursue complaints regardless of the worker's immigration status. They can contact us at our phone number or visit our webpage. If contacting by phone, they will be directed to the nearest Wage and Hour office for assistance. There are Wage and Hour offices throughout the country with trained professionals to help complainants. Complaints are confidential. We do not share complainants' names with employers or even confirm that a complaint was filed. We work hard to build and maintain strong relationships with select nonprofit organizations to foster communication and better serve our nation's workers, including our young workers and businesses. Wage and Hour has memorandums of understanding, or MOUs, with states, agencies, and organizations across the country concerning the various laws that we enforce. These partnerships provide for data sharing, referrals, coordinated enforcement, joint outreach, and compliance assistance. They maximize Wage and Hour's impact and the corresponding benefits for businesses and workers. We also offer numerous resources to assist youth with knowing their rights and the knowledge of the work they can and cannot perform. The Youth Rules Initiative promotes positive and safe working experiences for teens by providing information about protections for young workers to youth, parents, employers, and educators. From the Youth Rules website, you can quickly access information about federal and state labor laws that apply to young workers. As part of the Youth Rules Initiative, the U.S. Department of Labor and its partners develop and distribute informational materials, provide training on federal and state rules governing young workers, increase awareness through public service announcements, and develop other tools designed to increase compliance with federal and state laws. We've also developed a Dangerous Jobs webpage where you can hover over the images to learn more about those jobs where youth are not permitted to work. I want to thank you all for your time and attention while I provided some foundational guidance on our child labor laws. To learn more, I encourage you to visit our website for resources that can assist you and youth that may be engaging in exploitative child labor. I will now turn it back over to Mary Catherine to introduce today's panel. Mary?
Thank you so much, Bridget. I really appreciate that. I took a lot of notes myself, and I'm actually just going to repeat that phone number you gave us all, 1-866-487-9243. We'll also put that in the chat for folks and share it again at the end of this webinar. It was really great to be grounded in Child Labor 101 as we move to the discussion of tonight's child labor exploitation, what caring adults need to know presentation.